Welcome to Healthy Future Vision. I'm grateful to share this moment with youth. There's a truth most of us only begin to notice after turning 50, and feel even more deeply once we reach 60. Our bodies simply don't respond the way they used to. The strength that once let us lift heavy boxers now turns into a quiet sigh when we bend down to tie our shoes. Even a small stumble in the living room can make our hearts sink, because we know that a fall at this age isn't as harmless as it was when our legs were young and steady. But what troubles me most isn't aging itself. It's how icily we accept weakness as something inevitable, as if strength, flexibility, and that light, effortless feeling in our bodies were things we must surrender the moment our hair starts to turn gray. It doesn't have to be that way. And losing strength isn't always the fault of a harsher life. Often, it's simply because we're no longer nourishing our bodies the way they need to be. One morning, in my clinic, a 68-year-old patient said to me, "Doc, I'm not afraid of getting old. I'm just afraid of waking up one day without the strength to live, to move, to do the simplest things for myself." I'll never forget the look in his eyes. Not hopeless, just honest. It reminded me that health after 50 isn't just a story about muscles or joints. It's a story about freedom. And from conversations like that, I've realized something meaningful. Sometimes the strength we lose doesn't come from age itself, but from tiny deficiencies that build up day after day. Sometimes, the solutions are surprisingly simple, sitting right there in our kitchens, as familiar as a morning cup of coffee. You see, many of us start our day with a hot cup of coffee, a comforting ritual, a familiar moment that clears the mind and lifts the mood just enough to begin the day. But very few people know that, with just the right additions, that cup can become a kind of natural medicine, something that helps slow muscle loss, soothe your joints, reduce inflammation, and support the endurance of your heart. I'm not talking about miracles. I'm not talking about expensive pills or complicated programs. I'm talking about simple nutrients backed by science that are especially helpful for a body moving through the second half of life. Things you can stir directly into your coffee each morning, yet bring changes you can feel week after week. The sad part is that most people never hear about these things, because discoveries that don't make big money rarely become headlines, but they are real. And if you're watching this video, I want to share them with you, not as an expert talking down to you, but as a fellow traveler who's simply taken a few steps ahead on this journey toward better health. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ingredients that can transform your everyday coffee into a habit that strengthens you from within. And I'll also share a small nighttime tip, something I often recommend to my older patients that helps the body repair itself more fully. But first, let's start by listening to your body, because sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest things, the things we already do every day, just not in the way our body needs. As we move into the next part of this journey, I want you to picture something simple. Every morning, when you lift that cup of coffee to your lips, it's more than a habit, it's a moment you give to yourself. A pause, a gentle breath, a small preparation for the long day ahead. And for a body that has lived beyond 50, that cup can become something far greater. It can be nourishment. It can be therapy. It can be the fuel that helps you keep up with the dreams you haven't finished yet, the trips you still want to take, the mornings you still want to wake up with a sense of energy and hope. And for that cup to truly support you, it needs a little help. The nutrients your body loses quietly with age, long before you realize they're gone. 1. Collagen, the foundation of strength and stability. I want to begin with collagen, not because it's trendy or often mentioned, but because over decades of working with older patients, I've seen far too many people lose their mobility simply because their bodies no longer produce enough of this almost invisible protein. When we're young, collagen is abundant. It's in our muscles, ligaments, joints, skin, bones, and even the walls of our blood vessels. But once we reach our mid-50s, the body begins losing nearly half of its natural collagen supply. Everything starts to feel a little stiffer, knees crack when getting out of bed, the back tires easily after sitting too long, and workouts take days to recover from. People often think collagen is just for the skin, but in reality, collagen is the soft structural framework that holds our entire body together. I once had a retired veterinarian as a patient. She told me, "My knees feel like they've carried a lifetime." When I suggested she start taking hydrolyzed collagen, something remarkable happened. After about 3 weeks, she wasn't just experiencing less discomfort. She told me she felt supple again. That feeling of being able to walk without constantly thinking about her knees or hips, for her, it was like getting a small piece of youth back. Collagen peptides are tiny, easily absorbed, and once inside the body, they act like fresh building blocks delivered to a structure that's slowly wearing down your muscles, tendons, ligaments, and even your gut lining, what coffee alone cannot repair. Collagen helps replenish. When you stir a small scoop into your morning coffee, you're quietly rebuilding yourself, brick by brick. There's no applause, no miracle overnight, but day by day, something shifts. And one morning, you'll notice you stand up from your chair more easily. You walk farther without pain. That is your body saying thank you. 2. MCT, gentle but powerful energy. The second ingredient I want to talk about is like a slow-burning flame, steady, warm, and reliable. It doesn't hit you the way caffeine does. but it nourishes the body in a more stable and complete way. If you've ever felt alert after your first sip of coffee, only to crash around 10 a.m., it's not a sign of weakness. It's simply that caffeine spikes quickly and fades just as fast. This becomes even more noticeable as we move into our 50s and beyond. MCT. Medium-chain triglycerides is a form of clean fuel that the brain and muscles absolutely love. The body converts it into ketones within minutes. No complicated digestion, no fat storage, no blood sugar roller coaster. It's like the warm golden glow of a house on a winter evening, not blinding, just steady, comforting, and grounding. I remember an older gentleman, a former long-haul truck driver, who told me that after retiring, he felt exhausted quicker than he did on the road. When he started adding a small spoonful of MCT to his morning coffee, the first thing he noticed wasn't a burst of energy, it was a longer-lasting calm alertness. Without shaky hands, without anxiety, without that stretched thin feeling caffeine can sometimes cause. For older adults, steady morning energy is just as important as muscle strength. It shapes how we move, how we eat, and how we interact with the world. MCT helps shift the body from burning sugar, which fluctuates, to burning fat, which is steadier and more efficient. And when the body burns fat, well, muscles are protected, hormones stabilize, and mood becomes more balanced. 3. Turmeric and black pepper. When inflammation becomes the real enemy, chronic inflammation is the silent enemy of midlife. It doesn't strike suddenly, but it slowly wears us down. Nagging shoulder tension, stiff joints upon waking, tight calves when climbing stairs. Curcumin. The active compound in turmeric has the remarkable ability to soothe inflammation, so much so that many studies compare its effects to mild pain relievers, but curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed. Black pepper, with its compound piperine, is the key that unlocks absorption, increasing it many times over. Added to a warm cup of coffee, turmeric and black pepper work like two companions. One heals, one supports. They barely affect the taste when used in small amounts, but their impact can be surprisingly deep. I once suggested this combination to a 72-year-old woman who had lived with hip pain for years. She didn't expect much. Yet after a few weeks, she told me the pain no longer followed her around all day. It wasn't gone completely, but it was no longer the shadow behind every step, enough for her to enjoy her afternoon walks again. Sometimes, life changes not through big transformations, but simply by easing one small pain each day. 4. 3 things to avoid, because even a small mistake can undo the benefits. Unfortunately, many people unintentionally add things to their coffee that cancel out all the positive efforts above. Artificial sweeteners can confuse the body's blood sugar signals. Flavored creamers are loaded with hydrogenated oils, a known inflammatory trigger. And sugar is what weighs down the joints, adds heaviness to the body, and forces the pancreas to work harder than it should. Coffee doesn't need sugar to be meaningful. It only needs you to treat it like a companion, not a desert. 5. And finally, the evening secret. When I teach my patients how to upgrade their morning coffee, I also remind them of one simple truth. The body only truly heals when we sleep deeply. After the age of 55, sleep doesn't come as easily as it used to. Many people toss and turn, or wake up in the middle of the night without knowing why. And if the night isn't restful, then no matter how many nutrients we take in during the day, the body cannot fully repair itself. Magnesium glycinate, one of the most absorbable forms of magnesium, is the gift I often recommend in the evening. It helps the muscles relax, supports healthy sleep hormones, keeps the heart steady, and calms the nervous system. In the morning, you nourish your body with collagen, MCT, and turmeric. But in the evening, magnesium is your way of telling your body, it's okay now, rest. I'll be here with you again tomorrow. As we reach the end of today's journey, I want you to take a quiet moment to reflect on yourself, on the body that has carried you through so many years, so many changes, so much joy, and even the losses that only time can etch onto our shoulders, our back, and our heart. Maybe you once believed that health after 50 can only decline, that the crackle in your joints, the slow mornings, or the lingering fatigue were things you simply had to accept. But no, I want you to remember this. The human body has an extraordinary ability, the ability to heal. It just needs patience, the right conditions, and a little kindness from the person who lives inside it. A simple cup of coffee each morning can become a reminder that you can change your life for the better. Collagen strengthens your foundation. MCT keeps your mind steady and clear. Turmeric and blackpepper.com, the slow-burning inflammation in your joints and soft tissues. And magnesium at night completes the circle of care, helping you sleep deeper and restore more fully. These aren't miracles. They won't make you 20 again, but they can bring subtle, meaningful change, the kind that makes each step feel lighter, each morning feel easier, and each new day begin with hope instead of exhaustion. I've seen these changes on my patients, faces in the smiles when they say, I feel like myself again, or I can walk farther now without pain. And I believe you deserve to feel that too. Life at 50, 60, or 70 is not the faded leftover of the years before. It can be a chapter that's richer, freer, and more fulfilling if you care for your body with the right tools, at the right moments. So tomorrow, when you lift that cup of coffee, think of it as a small promise you give yourself. A promise that this body is still worth loving. A promise that there are still good days ahead. And a promise that health is a journey, not a sentence. Thank you for spending your time here with me. If these words resonated with you, share this video with someone you love, someone who deserves to know that even a simple cup of coffee can become a morning ritual that helps them hold on to their strength. In a gentle, human, and natural way. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the small things, the ones that can make a big difference in your health after 50. Wishing you a peaceful day, and a body as resilient as the life that has shaped you.